What is the status of your baby, your pregnancy, your...
Well, our family exists. We're just beginning it. And we got many kids to have. Long way to go.
Oprah believed that a baby with health issues was his vulnerability, the ideal tale to shatter him.
I don't know how to pronounce it yet.
You don't even know how to pronounce it?
Yeah. If ever I'm told, you'll be the first to know.
How to pronounce it.
Yeah.
The latest on the mystery surrounding Prince's death. The U.S. Attorney's Office and DEA are now joining the investigation as we learn more about a California doctor who says he was called to help a superstar with an addiction problem. ABC's Eva Pilgrim has the story.
Being run by musicians, so it's being run by accountants and lawyers. So I don't know if they'd know real music if they heard it. What they're looking for is acts that are going to make the most money for them. So you'll see all kinds of little gimmicks, so to speak. Nothing else to prove. I feel like the greatest performer that I could have been, and people who love me feel that I was the greatest performer they'd ever seen, so there's nothing left to prove.
At a time like this, if I was on medication right now, then one pill could have been swapped out, and it would be Michael Jackson and Prince all over again.
But throughout his career, Prince has been getting ready for this. She was unaware that his kid was dying, and he would never allow her to find happiness in that sorrow. This is how the most dangerous lady in the media was made public by one man's silence. Oprah Winfrey had mastered the skill of destroying celebrities under the pretext of empathy by 1996. 90 million people watched her 1993 assault of Michael Jackson at Neverland Ranch because she methodically destroyed his dignity on national television, not because she praised his brilliance. What should have been an artistic celebration was transformed into a public interrogation as she grilled him about his interactions with children, pushed him about his shifting looks, and more. She had been trusted by Michael. He sought to explain himself to a world that had already determined he was guilty of something, opened his house, and revealed his weaknesses. The outcome? There was no misunderstood talent in America. They saw a guy who was unable to defend himself against well-constructed inquiries meant to cast him in a dubious light. Prince had seen that slaughter. He had seen how Oprah's staff manipulated Michael's statements, perverted his efforts at candor, and used every instance of weakness as fodder for more assaults. Devastated by the treachery, Prince vowed never to do it again when Michael phoned him later. Don't allow them in. At this point, Prince was the target of Oprah's criticism.
Just like Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X, people like that change their name. And some people pick names that are hard to pronounce. It just so happens I picked one that you can pronounce.
Saved your life and getting you into rehab.
Yes, he did. I had a long time kind of battling those things, and after my father passed, it got really bad. And so I called up Big Bruh to help. He said, okay, when and where.
It was more than simply a name change. It has to do with power. Prince had crafted the ideal metaphor for his relationship with the media by making his identity practically unpronounceable. You couldn't have what you couldn't even utter. The emblem stood for more than just corporate ownership, interviews, or the apparatus of celebrity. Negotiating this interview took months for Oprah's crew. Prince seldom ever appeared on television, and when he did, he had complete control over the format, the questions, and the setting. His 65,000-square-foot suburban Minneapolis estate, Paisley Park, would serve as the backdrop. This was not only Prince's house and workspace, it was his stronghold, built to keep the outside world out of his way while he worked uninterrupted. The dynamic was evident as soon as the cameras rolled. Oprah, used to visitors who yearned for her platform and approbation, was confronted with someone who had dedicated his professional life to opposing precisely what she stood for: the commercialization of personal suffering for the benefit of the general public. Prince had long since discovered that the media was ravenous, and that the only way to live was to give it just enough food to prevent it from consuming you entirely. The scene was set for a conflict between two experts in their fields, one who lived by uncovering the truth, and the other who had based his reputation on intriguing riddles that would never be revealed. Oprah arrived with the same strategy that had been used for more than 10 years on all other celebrities. She would question the weird conduct, analyze the contentious picture, and insist on answers until the true self showed through. She believed she had the ideal target in Prince, a guy who had spent years constructing such an odd persona that he would undoubtedly crumble given the proper circumstances. She said, anticipating the defensive reaction that would provide her with the necessary opening, "A lot of people think the artist formerly known as Prince is flat-out weird."
I understand everything's relative, not weird to me, but
Yeah.
probably weird.
And you're living in Minneapolis, of all places. You will always live here? Why?
It's so cold, it keeps the bad people out.
Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard. And as long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well. The majority will not. So as a people, we'll be considered a minority. But stop. Let's take a moment and look at yourselves. There's nothing minor about you. You are a blessed people. You're the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why upon winning in their game, you always thank God. Tonight I would like to ask one favor of you. Imagine what we'll all be like in our own game. Peace and love for one another.
Chris recently gave a master lesson on how to turn defense become attack. He began by admitting that weird was a relative term. Then, instead of being defensive when Oprah made the joke about Minneapolis, he absolutely inverted it. It keeps the bad people out because it's so cold. The inference was obvious. Maybe the terrible people everywhere else who couldn't withstand the cold were the issue, rather than his acting strangely in Minneapolis. He had basically made it seem like a joke and insulted everyone outside of Minneapolis. Oprah attempted a different strategy, focusing on the emotional center that had destroyed so many other famous people. She expected him to either defend the lyrics or apologize for his wild past when she questioned him about his sexually suggestive songs, such as Horny Toad, Jack You Off, and Do Me Baby.
You know, I've written some 1,000-some-odd songs.
Became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise. And they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, you know, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist much longer. But it's not like we're against them or anything like that. The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they ship.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
By contextualizing her attack, a few sexually suggestive songs out of 1,000, Prince had once again neutralized it. That was mathematics, not scandal. He saw his history as a component of a much broader creative journey. Thus, he wasn't embarrassed of it. Rather of pushing harder, Oprah found herself nodding along. However, she has an additional weapon. the straightforward inquiry that compelled everyone, even presidents and celebrities, to make admissions. With the same fervor that had made her renowned, she leaned forward and said, "What do you want people to know most about you?"
Okay, so people think you're weird. They think you're strange. What do you want them to know?
The music.
thing that, kind of spooked me about it all was he has a song called Let's Go Crazy.
Yeah.
And it says, don't let the elevator bring us down. One time when I was with him privately, he said, you know what the elevator is, right?
No.
I said, no, what's the elevator? He said, well, the elevator is the devil, right? It scared me. I don't like to talk like that, but he said that. And so for me, it was like really haunting when I read that he was found in an elevator.
Prince had simply made it seem like something while giving her nothing. It was okay if others thought he was weird. He didn't care what others thought. Each response was a masterful example of deflection without becoming defensive. Prince practically demonstrated his creative process in response to Oprah's questioning about it in the hopes of gaining some psychological understanding. He moved to his piano and began to play, transforming her interview into his stage. He provided her music instead of the answers she had requested. The pattern was starting to emerge. Prince was playing a whole different game than defense. He was displaying his artistic abilities as Oprah was attempting to delve inside his mind. He was displaying invulnerability while she was looking for vulnerability. She couldn't even call him out on it without sounding dumb, since he was giving her a show while denying her the tale she really wanted. The pivotal moment in the conversation occurred when Oprah moved from discussing Prince's creative mystique to examining his most agonizing personal reality. There had been rumors that Prince and Mayte's baby boy had severe health issues from birth. This type of humanizing discovery would have been the hallmark of terrific television for any other star. It was a line in the sand for Prince. The next events demonstrated the essential difference between these two giants of media. Oprah saw tragedy as material, something that needed to be examined, placed in perspective, and eventually used to establish an audience connection. Prince believed it to be holy, something that needed to be shielded from the very machines that Oprah stood for.
What is the status of your baby, your pregnancy, your...
Well, our family exists. We're just beginning it. And we got many kids to have, long way to go.
Health problems?
That I don't know, right? What I know is that he was really health conscious. He was a vegan. He didn't know alcohol. I didn't know of him drugs. He worked out, so, that also really concerned me because it made me think that, wow, so you mean you do all these things to take care of yourself and you die so young?
Nobody, this ain't independent. Yeezy's the only 100% owned, independent, black owned or whatever. I don't know if it'll be owned after this interview, but you get what I'm saying? Like when we sign something, we don't sign somebody. We're signing someone to the bigger Vivendi slave ship, to the bigger universal slave ship. Because y'all saying, all his tweets was crazy. You know why Prince gave me the song Jail? Because he liked what I did. And he's like, I like what you did with them contracts.
You said Prince gave it to you. Right.
Man, he definitely, guess who's going to jail tonight? You know what I'm saying? That Gemini spirit.
People who don't, because he was on that tip.
Yeah.
Just people don't know. You're talking about Prince.
Yeah, I'm talking
out Prince.
And Prince trying to get away